Hello and welcome to the January 2021 edition of What is Jessica Reading Now? I am Jessica, a clerk here at the Macedon Public Library, here to highlight some of our YA or young adult fiction for you. I do think it is worth noting that YA fiction really has had quite a renaissance lately, recently, particularly in the fantasy genre. And I do just want to sort of let people know that while the YA age range can range anywhere between, I think, like 12 to early 20s, a lot of these books now are kind of blurring the lines between what is YA fantasy and fiction and what is adult fantasy and fiction. YA tends to be teamed YA because the protagonists are usually of a teen age, but that doesn't preclude them from having some pretty heavy topics at times or having plot lines that adults will certainly enjoy. So I just, if anyone was put off by the fact that we're talking about books that are categorized as young adult, but you are no longer a young adult, don't let that scare you off. Plenty of these books still have a lot of worth and a lot of value, or can just be very entertaining. And a lot of the times you'll find books that are don't readily fit into a single category of YA or adult. A lot of them ride the line between both. So today I'm going to talk about some of the books that I read recently. Unfortunately, I didn't have a lot of luck this past holiday season with the books that I read. I didn't thoroughly enjoy a lot of the books that I chose. So I am going to go over those because just because I didn't like them doesn't mean that other people might not like them. But I am also going to highlight some of our new YA fiction, which I personally have not read yet, but I'm very excited about. I'm going to go into a little bit of detail about what these books are about, and they might be something that appeals to you. So the first book that I attempted to read over the holiday was The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. This book has been out for a couple of years. I remember hearing a lot of chatter about it the time that it was released. The premise is that 16-year-old Alice Proserpine is living with her mom, and they have spent their whole lives moving from place to place. And it seems like bad luck follows them everywhere, and they have to pack up and sometimes leave places very quickly. They've never really stayed anywhere for more than, at most, a couple of months at a time, sometimes only a couple of weeks or a couple of days. When Alice's reclusive grandmother passes away, this grandmother that she has never met, that is when her mom decides that they can finally settle down into New York City and try to live a more normal life. Alice's grandmother is Althea, I believe her name is a cult classic author with one book to her name called Tales from the Hinterland, in which Alice has been fascinated by this book her whole life because not only is it almost impossible to find, but it seems to have this almost cultish following of fandom, and she's never understood it because she's never been able to read it herself. Plus, her mother has always kept her away from her grandmother and the estate that her reclusive grandmother, lived towards the end of her life, called the Hazelwood. So our story begins when Alice comes home from school one day to find that her mother has been kidnapped, and her only means of help are a classmate named Ellery, who I couldn't remember his name for a second, who is a bit of a Tales of the Hinterland fanboy, and an enigmatic message from her mother saying, "Stay away from the Hazelwood." From there, you get a sort of road trip, not adventure really, it's not really the right word, between Alice and Ellery trying to find out not only who has taken her mother, but why they're being followed by these strange people that Ellery claims are characters from the hinterland. So at its core, the Hazelwood is a book that deals with very dark fairy tales, um, like classic grim. There's no moral lesson. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. The kind of like the kind where Little Red Riding Hood just gets eaten, and that's the story. Um, I personally DNF'd this book, as in did not finish, a little over halfway through because it wasn't holding my particular interests. Um, some of the criticism I did read about this book was that it took all the fairy tale, the dark elements of fairy tales and left out all the whimsy, which doesn't make it a bad book. I mean, plenty of people enjoy this book. So it might be right up your alley if you really enjoy those sort of dark, it's not gruesome, I wouldn't say, but just those dark fairy tale themes. But don't go into it looking for some like redeeming whimsy. It won't really be there. So that is The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert, which we do have available here at the Macedon Public Library. The second book I tried, which I also didn't have much luck for my taste, was The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender by Leslie Walton. This is another book that I ultimately DNF'd because it just wasn't holding my particular interest. The premise is that Ava Lavender is a girl who was born with wings, literal wings. Her twin brother is, I believe, nonverbal. He doesn't speak. And the strange circumstances of her life lead Ava to sort of go back through her family's history and discover that they have a long history of almost being cursed in love. It's not really told from Ava's perspective, and in fact, she's almost not even really the main character. It kind of just goes back and is telling you the family history, and it reminded me of Lemony Snicket's in A Series of Unfortunate Events, because it just bad things just kept happening to this family and to these people. And also there's an element of magical realism. I mean, obviously the main character is a girl with wings, but it's not what is called a hard magic system. It's not defined. There aren't rules that really tell you how this sort of magical realism works. Plus, there are times when you're not sure if the book is being literal or not. Like one of the early family members, I believe it's like she was in love with a man who liked birds, so she turned into a bird, like a literal bird, a sparrow. So, and it took me a while to figure out that they meant she was a literal sparrow. So, it's very flowery writing. It's poetically and lyrically written. It is beautifully written, which sort of is a counterpoint to the sort of drab and depressing things that are happening to all these characters. I will say that a lot of the reviews that I saw on this, people did say that they wish they had been warned that there is a sexual assault scene in this book. So just to be aware that that does exist. If that's not something you're looking for, then I would pass this one by. If you are looking for a book that maybe is a little more leans towards the sorrows of life, but ultimately ends on a hopeful note, then I would give this a try. The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender by Leslie Walton. This is also available here at Macedon. It wasn't for me, mostly just because it wasn't. I was trying to read it at Christmas time, and it wasn't a very hopeful book. So I think I just had the wrong timing. On that note, I actually don't have the book to hold up because I did get it from another library. I know we're past the holiday season now, but I did read a book called The Afterlife of Holly Chase. And I'm just remembering this now, so I don't have the author's name right on hand. But I read that one. I'm sorry, Cynthia Hand is the name of the author. I just looked it up real quick. So the Afterlife of Holly Chase by Cynthia Hand. I picked that one up and read it Christmas Day and on to the next day, which was the perfect time to read it because it is a book about Holly Chase is a girl who has everything she could want. She is very rich. Um, her father is like a Hollywood director. Her stepmother is a bit sort of vain and vapid and not vapid actually, but almost cruel. And it follows the I almost said Scrooge McDuck. Ebenezer Scrooge, not Scrooge McDuck. Ebenezer Scrooge tale of three ghosts visit Holly on Christmas Eve to help her turn her life around, but ultimately she doesn't. She decides that it is a joke and she's not going to fall for it. And a few weeks later, she dies, as is foretold by these ghosts. And when she wakes up, she is in a office building in New York City, and she has been told that she has now joined what is called the Scrooge Project. So she's not quite alive, she's not quite dead, and her job is to play the ghost of Christmas past. And because every year this Scrooge Project, this sort of supernatural enterprise, picks one person every Christmas to try to rehabilitate and to give them the Scrooge treatment to show them how they can turn their lives around. So it was you had to just kind of go with the premise, and if you did, it was quite enjoyable. It was fun to watch Holly kind of turn from this spoiled, self-absorbed girl into learning how to have more empathy for other people and how to change her ways. And it was a very hopeful book. I read it in less than 24 hours. So if you're still in the mood for something like that, if it's still something you can do, even though it's outside the holiday season, I would recommend The Afterlife of Holly Chase. That one we don't have here at Macedon, but a few copies are available through the OWWL system. So you could have it get it through interlibrary loan and have it sent into the pickup library of your choice. A few other books that I wanted to highlight, because I did want to talk about some of our newer books, since most of the books that I read over December, 2 out of 3 didn't really do it for me. I wanted to sort of highlight some of our new books to give you a look into what we have and what is coming up. The first one here is Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. This book is getting a lot of attention right now and a lot of buzz. Very positive reviews. I've heard nothing but good things about this book. It is a modern take. It's being called a refreshing twist on the classic Arthurian legend. 16-year-old Bree Matthews has recently lost her mother and is sort of eager for distraction. And when she's accepted into a residential program for bright high schoolers at the UNC Chapel Hill campus, she jumps at the chance. But her life gets turned upside down the first night on campus when she witnesses a magical attack. This is being labeled as an urban fantasy, so it takes place in the real world, and this is a regular teenage girl realizing and learning that magic is real. So it's not a fantasy world. When she witnesses this attack, this other young man calling himself a Merlin tries to erase her memory, and when that fails, it is revealed that she has magic of her own. She also recalls a memory that there was another one of these Merlins present at the hospital the night her mom died, which springs her into action, into wanting to infiltrate this secret society of mages called Legendborn. And she decides she's going to infiltrate them from the inside out to learn more about her mother's death. But ultimately, she has to decide what it is she wants to do, whether she wants to take this secret society down from the inside or join their fight because there is a war coming. This is the first in a series. I'm not sure how many books are going to be in the series. So this one's brand new. So it'll be at least a little while before another one is released. But as I said, I've heard nothing but wonderful things about this book and this author. It is just um, burning up the book world right now. People are very intrigued by this one, and the people who've read it have had nothing but fantastic things to say. So this is a book that we have available on our news shelf here at Macedon. Another new book that we have here is We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faisal. This is set in a fantasy world that's based on ancient Arabia. Zafira is a hunter who must disguise herself as a man to feed her people. She has to go into a dangerous forest to hunt the game that her and her people need to live. Nasir is a prince of death, tasked with assassinating anyone foolish enough to defy his autocratic father. Zafira is tasked with retrieving a lost artifact that is said to bring magic back to her world. And Prince Nasir is sent on a similar mission to steal this artifact and kill the hunter who carries it. So this has been described as having lyrical writing, lush imagery, an unforgettable cast of characters, and a slow burn romance. So this is one of two. It's one of a duology. The second book is set to be released on the 19th of this month. So the second book in this series will be released in 4 days. So it's a good time to pick this one up because you won't have to wait for the conclusion. It is just one of two. I have already taken a peek at this one, and the writing drew me in right away. And the reviews that I've seen, people have said that the writing and the imagery is just beautiful. They've also said it will make you very hungry because the author describes food in a way that's just absolutely enthralling. So this one is one we have available right now here at Macedon. We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faisal. The last book I'm going to highlight is another new book by a well-known YA fantasy and sci-fi author, Mary Lou. This is Sky Hunter. This is another one of two. This is the first in a duology. The second one is set to be released September of this year. So we do have a couple of months before the second one comes out. This one sounds just very intriguing. It says, Mara is the last free nation outside the control of the Carenza Federation. Refugees flee to its borders to escape a fate worse than death, transformation into mutant war beasts known as ghosts. This post-apocalyptic sci-fi adventures follows Talon, a refugee despised by the Marans but used as a striker or fighter against the Federation ghosts, and Red, a mysterious prisoner of war who just might be the key to saving them all. So, and this one's actually not that big. It's just a little guy, whereas the other two they're a little bit heftier. I know Mary Lou's books never fail basically to connect with their audiences. She's known for creating these absolutely mind-blowing worlds. This one, it said that you will recognize this post-apocalyptic landscape as maybe a bit familiar. I think it's based in our world and things have gone wrong. But I'm really excited to read this one. I don't have time right now, but so this one will be available here at Macedon. That is Sky Hunter by Marie Lu. So hopefully that gave you some ideas of some books that you would like to try. I'm going to hope for better outcomes for my personal reading over the next couple of months. I plan to do a reread of a YA duology romance called Serpent and Dove. I have that on audiobook right now. I've read it before. I did enjoy it. I have their second book, Blood and Honey, both of which are available through the OWL system. We don't have those ones here at Macedon, but we can get them sent in. Other than that, and I just finished The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden, which was, again, a young protagonist, but teamed as adult fantasy fiction based on Russian folklore and literature. It was the perfect read for this time of year if you want to get that sort of atmospheric, really chilly, cold feeling. That's one of a trilogy, so I hope to read books 2 and 3, which have been out for a couple of years now. But definitely hopefully this gave you some books to read, gave you an idea of what we have here at Maston. We have a bunch of new YA fiction, about 2 shelves worth. So definitely take a look at our online catalog. You can place books on hold now. We are open only for grab and go pickup, meaning unfortunately we can't have people come in and browse in the library. You do either call us or place your books on hold online. We will get them for you, check them out, and place them in our grab and go shed. But hopefully you're all having a great, safe January. I know it's a little gray outside. I can see your window right here. And it's the perfect time to settle in and read some books. So hopefully you've got some new ideas. Anyway, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. And I will see you next month with a whole new lot of books that I have read and can tell you about. So everybody, have a good day. I'll see you later.